Students have a problem with active reading and trying to figure out what it is they don't know. And really, when they're studying bio, the question isn't, how do I get this all in my brain so I can spit it back out on the test? The question is, what is it I know compared to what is it I don't know? And so when it comes to reading the textbook, the biggest mistake that students make is trying to read the chapter like a novel. Biology reading is not a novel. My best recommendation for any student when it comes to reading a textbook, whether it's biology or physiology or anything, is to take it in small segments. The way the science books are broken up is you have segments which belong to one concept, and then it's followed by, self-test questions or self-quiz questions. My recommendation for every student is to take that section, read it, go back and read it again. Okay, so what I do is I read the section the first time, and then I go, okay, what is it about this section that was important? Then I take my highlighter and I go through and I highlight what I thought was important. And then after that, I go back through and look at what I highlighted and go, okay, what was the point of what I just highlighted? And try to put it into context. So then I do notes on the margin or on a piece of paper or what have you, and that becomes the crux of what you study and what you go back to when you're reviewing before the exam. I tell my students you need to read that chapter 3 times. It doesn't necessarily mean read it from beginning to end 3 times, at one sitting. It means read a section, answer the questions at the end of that section. Can you answer the questions without going back to look at the answers? If you can't, then you go back and you look at the answer. You write it down. Look at the diagrams. Can you explain the diagrams in the text and know what the diagram is trying to tell you? Because for me, a picture is worth 1,000 words. If they can take the diagrams, because for the textbook that we have, the illustrations are absolutely beautiful. They're well labeled and everything is noted. So even if the student were to read the section, they should be able to take the images that go with that section and say, this is what this picture is trying to tell me. These are the parts. These are what the parts represent, and this is the story behind this image. And if you can do that, then you know it. And then at the end, I tell my students, take your notes and turn it into a quiz and answer those questions, or start off with a blank board and start writing things. Okay, this chapter is about the cell. These are the parts of the cell. This is the function of the cell. This is the function of those parts. And if you can do each and every piece, then you know that you know it, and you need to say it out loud. I tell my students all the time, say it out loud. You think that you know things in your head, but until you can actually say it, you don't really know if you know it. I tell them, as you're driving down the freeway, because I'm sure all of them are sitting in traffic, you need to say it out loud. The other people in the cars are thinking that you're singing, so it doesn't really matter. Because you can't read and drive, but you can say, okay, these are the parts of the cell, this is the mitochondria, it's the powerhouse of the cell. And if you can't put it into words, then you don't really know it. And so that's my best advice for students when it comes to studying. Read, say it out loud, figure out what you know versus what you don't know, and somewhere in there find a partner to study with and quiz each other. And I think that's very helpful. A lot of students come back and go, that was really helpful. That helped a lot.